Today I thought it'd be fun to start taking a look at some of the hasbara that's already rolling in about our new book, Genocide Bad, which has shot to being a #1 bestseller in the categories of Middle East politics, Israel, Palestine history, and Jewish history on Amazon, and which was written by me, a Jewish author, and is coming out with Interlink Press, the only Palestinian-owned publisher in the US, in March. Since this is a book that teaches you how to deal with hasbara, how to argue with Zionism, hasbara, by the way, is Israeli propaganda. Let's look at some of the hasbara that is already showing up in the comments of my announcement videos. So in case you don't know, Israel hires like legions of tech employees to operate bots and internet social media sock puppet accounts where they like pretend to be left-wing social justice-y people of various marginalized identities and like try to infiltrate, the Free Palestine movement or leftist movements and sow confusion, tear down solidarity from within. And these tactics can be really effective. I mean, they really do a good job silencing people, but I have gotten so much hasbara over the last year that I am like immune to it and I can see it coming from miles away. So let me show you how I do that. For example, let's say you watch this video of mine and you read this comment. Did you talk about Azerbaijan and Armenia too, or are you just another political pawn? And if you saw that comment, you might get really destabilized and be like, hold on, like who is this? What is this comment about? And you might ask them to follow up, or you might go to argue with them and they then pretend that they're Armenian and they're deeply concerned about the Armenian genocide. And how dare you make a video talking about genocide in Palestine without talking about the Armenian genocide as well. For some reason, hasbaras really love talking about the Armenian genocide. It's like a pattern. Now, I address this kind of hasbara in chapter 1 of my book because it's like their first go-to, which is who are you to speak on Israel? And there's a lot of different rhetorical strategies that hasbaras will use to call into question your credibility to say anything on Israel. And one of those tactics is whataboutism. And so whataboutism is saying you're not allowed to talk about Israel until you talk about this genocide and that genocide and that genocide. What about this? What about that? So it's like taking your focus away from Israel and Palestine and demanding that you speak about like all genocides at once first before you get to have an opinion. But I can clearly see, right, from my vantage point of my notifications, that this is someone who's going through every single one of my video and using different hasbara talking points to try to sabotage each one. So the next one down was on a video I collaborated on with Hassan and Jaffer, and they said, communism applied to race, keep it up and you'll get JD Vance in 2028. On this video, the hasbaras is cosplaying, okay, that they are a communist. And they're sort of putting down Hassanin and doing this thing that right now is a tactic of hasbara of trying to move Western leftists back towards class reductionism because that will damage solidarity between people of color and white leftists. So I think that's what they're doing there. Communism applied to race, keep it up and you'll get JD Vance in 2028. They're saying like, if you keep bringing race into leftism, it's going to backfire. That's, again, this narrative that I think hasbaras are pushing to shatter solidarity between white leftists and leftists of color. In this third comment, they're now cosplaying that they're concerned about LGBTQ equality in Gaza. And I bet if you argued with them in the comments of that video, they would claim to be a queer person who's like really concerned about queer rights in Palestine. I talk all about this rhetorical tactic in chapter 2, Marginalized Human Shields. Another very funny hasbaras who clearly showed their ass was on my YouTube announcement. This person was back to strategy 1, who are you to speak on Israel? So they describe my book, it's a humorous rant of a college graduate full of simplistic theories that don't encompass a complex reality. I would suggest using more resources as it's mainly filled with article references, but not real sources. Good luck with your next book about the Bahrain uprising. The hilarious thing about this comment is my book hasn't even released any review copies yet. No one has read it except my editor. So whoever is claiming to have read it and offer this analysis, I don't think they realize that the book is only available by pre-order and no review copies have gone out yet. They are again doing tactic number one, who are you to speak on Israel, right? So they're trying to undermine my credibility, and they're leaning into sexist stereotypes. So I'm non-binary, I go by they, them pronouns, but to this person I'm perceived as female. And this is just reeks of like misogyny and like, you know, putting down this, oh, this humorous rant of a college graduate. You know, I don't know, it's so simplistic. Okay, dude. Actually, I've made the endnotes of my book public on my website. There's over 285 citations in my book, and they encompass primary source documents, scholarly articles, research papers, many dozens of books, and social media posts, like all kinds of sources. So it's incredibly fucking scholarly, my dude. Although there's also 42 uses of the word fuck. So those two commenters, I'm pretty sure, are paid hasbaras. But you don't have to be paid by Israel to spread hasbara. Anyone can do it. That's how hasbara works, right? Like, they can't pay enough people to shift culture. But by putting out these types of talking points online, like anyone who is spreading information or ideas that serve Zionism are doing the work of hasbara, whether they're real or not. So that's one of the reasons that I've hidden the identity of people. Because I made the mistake earlier this year of going after someone I was very certain in my mind had been paid to do hasbara, and it turns out they hadn't. They just actually fell for some hasbara and like re-put that out there, you know, out of good intentions, I believe. So I'm not going to put anybody on blast anymore, like your identity, but if you come into my comments trying to tear down this constructive anti-Zionist project with hasbara, I'm not going to put your identity on blast, but I'm absolutely going to put your words on blast and dunk on you. So let's look at this next one. So this person says, didn't Simon & Schuster publish Bibi's autobiography? This is all in really bad taste for a white to be doing. And then they put that. It was pretty suspect that they knew Simon & Schuster was the distributor, because the publisher is Interlink, which is independently owned. Simon & Schuster is the distributor, which means that they like help get the books to warehouses, but Simon & Schuster does not own the rights to this book or profit from its sales besides the fee for distributing it. So it's like weird that they knew that, because I didn't actually say that in this video that this was on. And then what they're doing too, this is another tactic I talk about in chapter 1, is they're using deference politics. So they're weaponizing identity politics to tear down a constructive anti-Zionist project. So they're saying, because I'm white, I'm not allowed to speak on this, right? Because Simon & Schuster, again, just our distributor, published Bibi's autobiography, that means Simon & Schuster is tainted and you can't use them at all to do anything constructive. Even though every single top 5 publishing company in the world is like incredibly Zionist and publishing Zionist books. If you tried to boycott every book that is in any way related to a publisher whose parent company also publishes books that are Zionist, you would have to boycott every single book. Now, some of my followers like very earnestly went in and started arguing with this person, saying like, no, that this is a Palestinian owned publisher. Like, the editor is Palestinian. She commissioned the book from Sim. And then this person goes for the, well, whites should not be making any money on this. And look, y'all, I'm going to make another video that will be all about the financials for this book, because I don't mind being fully transparent. I am making so little off this book, and we would have to sell so many copies that we're not anywhere close to for me to make anything close to a living wage on the labor it has taken to put this book together. So that will be coming. But for the purposes of this video, just spot that this person is using deference politics. They're using identity politics and like this appearance of anti-racism to tear down what is a constructive anti-Zionist project owned by Palestinians. Because when you're an author and you sell a book, you sell the rights to the book. I don't own the book anymore. Interlink does. And she goes on, she claims she's Indigenous and First Nations, and she's using that identity to tear down this book. Now, maybe she really is. Maybe she really is. And I don't know. But it doesn't matter. The impact is hasbara. So I'm not mad at that. I'm not going to go after this person. I'm not going to put them on blast. But the impact of this kind of rhetoric is hasbara. It's serving Israel and nobody else. All in all, I've been shocked how little hasbara we've gotten. And I think it's because they're all busy with messing with the narrative on Syria. But hopefully if this book continues to blow up, we will continue to see hasbara in the comments that we can identify and unpack together. And Go ahead and argue with them in the comments if you want, because it will just drive engagement on my posts. Pre-order links for places all over the world are in my bio.